So what do I do with this? I'm so
You
technology.
go up to the
challenged,
top
you guys have
square
no
box, you can open,
I don't know.
make the full screen come up.
idea. Right there?
Yeah. You get the full screen.
Booyah.
So how do I know if somebody wants to?
Click on the participant there.
Oh, God, I can't see.
Well, it's at
Right
the
there.
bottom, yeah,
Yeah.
right there. If you click that, it'll pull up on the sidebar. Maybe not. There you go.
Yeah.
Huh?
Thank God you're here.
People want to run this.
Right here.
Well, I'll tell you,
Sit right
you know,
here.
as much as I can seem like a guru 1 second, the next minute it'll be the complete disaster, so.
I'm familiar with that kind of.
Flying by the seat of my pants.
Well, now he's gonna leave.
I'm big on that.
He's felt my hand long enough. See you, thanks.
You do have somebody in the waiting room, or,
Oh, I do.
I got something like
Oh,
that.
what does it say? I can't read it from here.
It's on the agenda, that's all it's on.
What's it read? What's it say, John?
Huh?
What's it say on the right? You can't read it.
Town of Fortville host, that's all it's on there. Call in user 1, I don't know.
it just looks like somebody's trying to call in their waiting room. Click
Yeah,
that. There
get
you go.
admit, yeah.
Admit, there you go. Now somebody did.
I thought Adam said he'd be on soon.
Yeah.
What is that?
So they're muted as of now, but
I thought you said.
they can unmute
Girl, I'm about
themselves.
ready to get to this mouse. I can barely see what's up there.
You're on my fan.
No, this is what my.
I don't know that I can see it, but I can guess what.
So yeah, so far there's only one person.
Oh, we're waiting on Alex. I'm sweating.
You must run your hair at like
How
62
many
degrees.
schools have you covered?
What?
Yeah, Becky's over there going.
Very true.
68 year round.
I've been out.
This is Adam here.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
I'm sorry?
Who's that?
Adam?
He's calling user
We're just
1.
waiting on Alex to show up.
Blacker.
Great. So you're at it. Broadcast.
Cruising pretty quick to get in there.
6:30 is like.
Adam, do we need to wait for Alex?
It's up to you.
Oh, what's that? Oh, there he is.
Let's wait for Alex.
Let's
Oh,
wait.
we wait for Alex.
There he is.
Got him.
I need to find my notes.
Hi, Alex.
Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, everybody.
Howdy.
It was weekend.
All right. Now that you're here,
Yeah.
we'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, this is Scott.
Here.
Amy. Here. Cheyenne. Here. Ed.
Here.
Hart.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Full business, consider approving the minutes for June 16, 2022. That the minutes be accepted as written.
Oh, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, next. next, discuss and consider the request by Pete Schwiegeraht of MVAH Partners for Tax Abatement, Madison Senior Lofts. What you got? Adam?
Are you asking me, Scott?
Yes, are we starting with you on MVAH?
Yes, I believe Pete should be in the audience.
Yes.
Pete is here, yes. Just want me to
So
start-
this is simply a follow-up to the discussion that we began at the last meeting, but unfortunately due to technical difficulties, it was decided that we would request that Pete be in person for this meeting. And so Pete can go ahead and give you an overview of what he is looking for specifically. And I can certainly answer any questions that may arise.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Again, Pete Schwiegeraht with MVAH Partners, 9100 Center Point Drive, Westchester, Ohio.
Pete, before you get started, can we, just for the record, note that Tony did join via Zoom, just for the record? I'll go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your time last time. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Hopefully I will not blur out on you with me being here. As mentioned, we are working towards phase 2, which is the senior component of the Madison Lofts Village development. Applications going next week to the state. We are in a different world now than we were a couple years ago. Thank you, the city, town, and all those who helped us restructure the projects in this very cost-sensitive environment. Just to give you an example of what we dealt with phase 1, from the time we applied for funding through the state to the time we closed was approximately an 18-month period. There was literally a 40 to 45% increase in the cost of construction over that period of time. And it's not just here, it's throughout markets. And certainly that left us with some challenges getting phase 1 done. Again, with the modifications we made, and we were able to get that done. It did have a few less units, but still going to be able to serve families. Senior development's kind of in the same boat. We're in a different economic world. The cost of construction is still high, if not only continuing to show signs of increases. So we are stuck in a scenario where to get phase 2 done, we have a bigger economic hole. So with our last request, the commitment was to use 75% tip. And with this new request, we're hopeful you'll consider the 100% rebate under the premise that it is going to help us fill some of that gap and keep the project feasible. We are still working with the owner as well to try to bring land price to an appropriate level as well. One of the challenges is making it all add up. We're trying to get it to work from all sides. I only mention that because even with this approved, there are still other things I'm trying to solve to make this application. And that being said, though, we are committed to the application, and even if not this year, we're going to continue to try to work with the seller next year and also with you. Right now, we feel confident that these are the types of incentives that will need to be competitive. It is a scoring item, so this will generate some very powerful local incentives that will help us show certain matching funds that will improve the score of a development. Projects win by as little as a half a point, and there's up to 4 points available in this category, and this will get us around 3 of those 4 points. So not them all, but about as competitive as we feel we can really be or try to be with this request to the state. And it is ultimately needed to just create a financial underwrite that works. The pro forma we've shared with you shows a development that actually has a large deferred fee in it. And then the investors who invest in these deals only allow for that. We've basically kind of underwritten this at all the tolerances to try to make this work. So we do need a commitment. We do know and understand it's a little stronger than the last, but we're hopeful you understand that the market conditions are a little different, and this could be what puts the development over the threshold if we can get all this to come together correctly. So certainly happy to, as of now, we're thinking it's 42 units. If I'm thinking correctly, that's what we ended up on phase one as well. So we had to cut it down a little bit. It'll certainly make for fitting on the side a little easier, a little more green space and so forth. So just wanting to note that that's not pinned down, but that's what we've shown in this model and where we think things are going to lie out. We still have to get some of that final cost in there that we're working on right now as well.
Do we have any questions for Pete? I do have, so a couple of things here, the tax amount that we see on the pro forma, that's based on the assessed value of the property.
Or the anticipated,
The anticipated assessed value.
which would use with the tax credit development, the income approach. So it's the same approach that was used with phase one. It does not translate to the cost of the development though, because
Right.
we're using the income approach.
So assuming that, well, never mind that, I answered it myself, look at me go. I don't recall asking this question last time, but construction contingency, that is just merely a contingent fund. What happens if that money's not used?
Those funds are built into the contractor's contract for those surprises. So in theory, they're funds that are, I think, returned. It varies from lender to investor. So one lender investor might have that share with the contractor or with the owner. Others might require that it pays down some of the soft fees that we're using at the state level. We're using home funds, or what the state calls their development fund. And so when we have those state funds in and we have those savings, a lot of times they make us use those funds to pay down their dollars, which will most likely be in this development. I think we're asking for $600K in their development fund dollars as well. So it would vary, but ultimately, let's hope there's a few dollars left over in contingency in today's world. But that is a traditional required, I think it's a 3% contingency, and that's a required underwrite for the lender investor to say, look, we need to know there's a certain amount of construction.
Well, this is 5.
It's a 5%. It varies from state to state. So I believe if it's 5, it must be 5% in Indiana. So those are required as part of the underwrite. So the investor saying, look, we need to see that there's some extra money if the surprise is to be had. You got that money there.
And then when we looked at this in 2020, the water sewer impact fees were listed as 50,000. Now they're 208 or 209.
We'll have to look into that because I know we're working right now with your city on phase one with putting the meter in, and it was determined we're doing it a different way than we thought we were doing it. So those numbers might not be exact. This is a working model and might have been based off of where we were thinking we were going with phase one, which was going to cost a lot more. But now we've realized there's a different way to go about it. It's going to cost a lot less. So that number might be a little inflated based on where we think we're going. But when the model was made, it was what we thought the fees were going to be.
I'll add to that. Obviously, I'm not water sewer privy at all, but I do know that I was asked to issue a refund check to them for $24,000 this week. In return, they're only going to be paying us $3,000 with the route that they wanted to take, as far as Joe said something about meters. I'm sorry, I don't have all the information, but I know that's a huge.
The original budget, I believe, was set up off of us individually metering everything. We pay our water, we pay water for the residents, so there's only one meter, it's just a larger meter. So those numbers again aren't exact, but again, when we're talking about the overall development budget, we're talking about, .something% of the budget. But we'll make sure, once that we're in a final format, all of that will be corrected and teed down to real cost.
So when we boil this down, is this more about the difference between what you asked for then and asking for now is about $196,000?
Correct.
So what I look at is, from our perspective, is, that's, budget this size is only $196,000, but that's $196,000 that we could use in tax increment funds, right, for our projects. Right. So I'm asking these questions about where these additional funds are going because they're very close to the additional money you're asking us for.
Right.
So is this more about the dollars and cents or the points?
It's both, and it's equal. Well, first and foremost, you got to have a project that'll underwrite to even bring it to a close. So it's first and foremost about that. Right now, we're showing a deferral that's 60%, meaning 60% of the money we're intended to make from the development, we're contributing back into the development. Our underwriters say, we don't want you to go past 50%, so we're technically 10% beyond that tolerance. Now, we're real good at going out and getting all these secondary funding sources like the Federal Home Loan Bank's got money. We know how to go find that and feel very confident we can get it to close. But I'll be the first to say, we've got this thing tightened up to all of the tolerances, and it's here and still have to solve a little bit, or it's just going to probably fall short. And again, just as I'm asking you for more, I don't want to. I would have never in a million years thought that a year and a half ago what's happened with construction. Having done this from 06, so pre-recession, I've never seen more challenges getting things built than I'm dealing with right now. So that's the big part of it. It will help us score, and that is the ultimate need as well, because it's 100 applications a year and they have enough money to fund not even 20. So you got to have that score. This is getting us 3 or 4 in a what's deemed a rural community in the state's eyes, and as we compete, that's a competitive score. But it's also what most communities that are really trying to support these deals are providing. Your TIF is actually a unique opportunity because in most places we're doing a tax abatement and it has its own challenges. So the TIF's a great tool and it's there. We're not asking for anything that wouldn't be generated. So hopefully, yes, we're taking back some of that in an interim period, but once that's done, we're ultimately generating new tax base for the community as a whole. Meanwhile, again, hopefully serving seniors and allowing them to stay in and age in place in the community. So we hope there's economic development benefits. We hope there's community development benefits. I know I'm asking for a little more and understand, if you said to us, hey, we'll honor the old commitment, we would just have to evaluate it. Again, I'm working with this owner too, trying to juggle a lot of these balls and get it to, I wasn't that good with the Rubik's Cube, but I'm trying to get the Rubik's Cube finished.
But regardless of where the tax increment comes in, the specific amount you get is just that. So if the increment is higher, right, you're still only get what you asked for.
Yeah, and I think that's the way that phase 1 was built into it.
Yeah.
It's set up that if we get there early, if we were wrong about the taxes and taxes were higher, it would just simply burn up earlier.
Okay. That's all the questions.
Wasn't there a cap on the cap we was talking about on the assessment, 100% or?
Well, they're asking for 100% of what we estimate the test to be, but it could be higher. That's what I'm just asking. There's a cap on the amount that you're going to get, and that's 776.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's the cap.
Okay, this application that you filed, this is, so in the first phase, you applied for both
Yes.
and lost the senior. Now you've reapplied at the next available time for the senior.
We have not reapplied yet.
Oh,
The
this is-
application is later this month.
It's due now.
Yes.
Okay. If for some reason it gets rejected, is there another opportunity?
We'd probably be in the same boat. Have to get the seller to maybe, let's hope he hasn't resold it to someone else, or unless it's the same thing as me, which I know is what the community wants, and or I hope the community wants, I should say. It would be all contingent upon that. Ultimately, it'll be a new scoring system next year too. So then we'd have to look at it and go, does it score better? Does it score worse? Right now, we feel like we're right at the borderline, to be honest. There's some points that we can't get. And in some ways, it's a good sign of a positivity in your community. This year, they really encouraged developments that used foreclosed properties. And so in some rural communities, there's plenty of foreclosed properties. In Fortville, it's a strong economic community. This doesn't exist. So there's some points that 2 years ago when we started all this, we were ahead of the curve, and now we're not getting hitting points and new things are somewhat. So it's a little bit of a dance with the state scoring system here. But we're committed to continuing to try as long as it can be competitive and as long as the seller gives us another shot.
Maybe we should go foreclose.
Well, based off what we gave my phase one, he certainly probably is a good candidate.
Any other questions, Ed?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Okay.
No, but I appreciate your questions.
Nothing else.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I don't, I'm just wondering, Alex,
Yeah, I was just, Adam and Alex are both on the phone.
the only thing I was worried about is get more if there's a way to. Bond. Wonder if there's a way.
Not sure. Okay, that's probably, yeah, that's a good way to do that.
Hart, is your microphone on? I couldn't hear you.
I'm gonna send you an email, Alex.
Okay. I couldn't hear what you said, but I thought you were asking me some
Yeah,
question.
No,
No,
we're-
I do have a question for you, but I'll send you an email before we.
Okay. All right. That works.
Sorry, we were trying to talk behind your back, Alex.
With the numbers that's been presented to me and the cost of over this, between the 75% and 100%, I see no reason not to give them the 100%, so I make a motion to give them the 100%.
I will second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Motion carries. Thanks, Pete.
All right, we'll keep working it.
Appreciate you not breaking up.
Sorry about that last time. Thanks.
That's all good. I don't think we have any new business. Review of financials. I'll look for a motion for the financials.
I make a motion that we approve the financials as written.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And we have no invoices. Public comment.
Good job, guys.
You have to walk up to the mic and say your name.
I don't want to say anything.
Staff comments. Adam, anything? I'll take that as a no. Board comments?
Trying to talk, you're on mute.
Too late now. We can have it.
It's been really exciting to see Fox Garden and the review just got get started. So can we give an update last week?
No.
Or maybe better wait till Adam's back.
Yeah, we can, it is looking great. Everybody's very excited.
The
about
update
it.
is like right by it every morning.
And I look at it.
And they are doing things, which is exciting.
I did understand just a comment from clients that there is a considerable weight on the windows for the VFW.
Oh, really? I have not heard that.
Yes.
Alex, did you have anything for us? Okay. With that, I'll look for motion to adjourn.
And nothing from me, nothing from Adam.
Oh, okay. Glad you got in there. bud.
I was breaking up.
Adam, you're breaking up. We'll need you to attend the next meeting in person. Here you go. Thank you.
I'll be there.
Gotta be fair. Gotta be fair.
I'll be there.
I make a motion to adjourn at
6:51.
6:51.
I'll second that.
Thanks.
All in favor?
I will watch the- the time.
We are adjourned.
I had to read it, got all-
No.
There you go, look, it's you.
You stop recording, hit the stop at the top of shooting also. Yeah, to the right, there you go. Pause.
Sorry, I can't see it.
Yes.
Yes.